Forward to this. All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for jumping on. And I cannot wait to hear more what Chantel has to share with our audience. I know there's a few that could not join us tonight, but that's totally fine. We're going to record this and we'll get it out after the Zoom. So, this is my beautiful friend, Chantel. I met her through our amazing BNI group, and she is your go-to girl. Now, if you need someone to answer phones, if you need shredding, everything, she's got solutions. But tonight she's going to share something a little bit more. Now, she's got the perfect solution to help with keeping those customers intact and not your sticky notes everywhere, helping with follow-ups, all of the goodness. So, thank you again. And I really appreciate your time and I respect you, Chantel. So take it away. I cannot wait.
All right. Well, I did up just a little presentation. Everybody's heard the word CRM and it kind of just goes over your head. You don't really know what your, um, what that all encompasses. There's probably thousands of options out there. There's industry specific, there's general. So we'll just kind of go through what it is and what kind of things to look for, and then, how we can help start small and work up.
Awesome.
So we're going to cover what is a CRM, why you would use one, who should use one, and when you should start using one. So the very beginning basics, what does CRM stand for? It's your customer relationship management. So this is basically a tool that helps you manage your customers. Now, a lot of the apps and stuff that are out there, somebody has put a lot of time and effort into figuring out what people of a specific industry might use to manage their customers. Some of the smaller businesses or more unique companies struggle to kind of fit into those molds. So I use a program where we can kind of custom the pieces that you need. We can start small and we can grow it as you grow. So to know what a CRM is, we'll just go over the basic features. Any CRM that you choose, whether it's the one I set up or another one, different software provider, these are some of the things that you should always look for. So it should manage your contacts and your leads effectively. A lot of people maybe don't realize how important that is, and they're using something like this. This is what a Google contact card looks like. So when you're saving all your customers in your Gmail and your contacts, these are some of the fields you get. You can see you have an option to add a significant date or add a related person, and do a custom field, but it's really limited on the types of custom fields, and then what you can do with them after. A lot of people, I find, put all the extra information that doesn't fit into these molds into their notes. But then in order to reference them, you have to open up the contact card, go to the notes, and you can't really trigger anything off of your notes because there's usually too much information in there. Outlook doesn't really do much better. There are some things that you can kind of add in custom, but not a ton. So again, when things don't fit into the mold, you're keeping track of, maybe their kids' names or their pets' names or their hobbies or whatever in the notes. And every time you need to send them a message, you've got to go into their card to look it up.
For me, like spreadsheet after spreadsheet after spreadsheet and click here and there. So you've really simplified my life there. I love it.
So yeah, and a lot of that, what you want to look for is when you're managing your contacts, it's nice to have the features where you can add specific custom fields. So the one I use, you can see these are all like you get your standard that are already in there, right? First name, last name, business, all that kind of stuff is in there. But then when you want to add an extra field, you can determine what type of a field it is, right? So if you're asking them to input text, you've got these options. Single line, multi-line, if it's, you want them to write a paragraph. Text box list is like, it'll give them like a title and they have to put some text that goes with it kind of thing, right? Different types of values. So if you want it to be a phone number and you choose the phone number field, they can't just put ABC in there. It won't let it go through. Choosing options. This is when you give them a list. They can have a drop down where they can only pick one, a drop down where they can pick more than one option. a radio button where they have a list of options and they can only pick one, and maybe choosing that one takes them a different route in your questionnaire. A checkbox, they can pick multiple options. A date picker, so it's always going in the right format, so you don't have to guess which one's the month and which one's the day. And then under other, you can add a file upload option. So if you've got customers that need to send you documents, or if you are performing site work on site and you want to upload before, during, and after pictures, you can add this in there. And when you upload those items, they stay in the customer file. So you're not sifting through your Windows Explorer trying to find your client's documents or their pictures. They're attached right to the contact card. You go to them, you find all the information. And a signature. This particular signature, I guess, field would be for doing, like, trying to do that, really messy handwritten signature, either with your mouse or like a stylus. But you can add those in there if you have a form or something that you need them to have the actual physical signature on. And that, again, that signature stays with them in their file. You can also put the different fields into groups. So you don't have to sift through. You could, maybe you grow and you end up being a business that has 500 custom fields. You don't want to have to sift through them all. So you can group them. And then when you go to look for specific information, you just click the drop down and the fields that you've linked to that will show up. So here's an example of that on mine. When I click on the contact, the fields that I've linked under contact show up here. So it's kind of like with yours with the Zoom event. Once they've completed the form, you can just go into their contact and find that section and get the information you need easily.
Awesome.
So that's kind of the differences between using a CRM and just using like your kind of free software to manage your client information. The next chunk is, there's all different kinds of terms for them. I like to go with pipelines and opportunities. Keeping track of this is big. So your pipeline is going to be a process. So maybe your business only has one process. It takes a customer from when they come in for a service, the service is completed, and then they're done, right? Or maybe you're a business that provides, multiple different services and each one is handled a different way. So you would have multiple pipelines. In those pipelines, you're going to have the different steps. So this is an example of having multiple pipelines. So I've got customers I can track where they're at my process. These are projects within my business, and this is just what are we doing, what's happening kind of thing. So then when you open up the customer tracking one, these are the steps to my customer tracking process. Just to kind of classify where they're at any given time, I can open up that pipeline and tell you how many leads I have, how many new customers, how many repeat customers, and how many I lost. And again, you decide the steps of your process and how you want to track your customers in this situation. But choosing a templated software, just find one that uses terminology that makes sense to you, so you don't have to learn a whole new skill set on what they're calling this thing and that thing, or find ways where you can, like, ones where you can customize. Each pipeline step will have a customer card in it. You could have multiple customer cards in multiple pipelines. Like, a customer could be in all different kind of places if they're doing a bunch of things. Again, with the custom fields, you can create custom fields that populate on this card. So when you go to the pipeline and you're like, oh, these are my customers that are waiting on something, you don't have to then log out, go to a different screen, whatever. The information you need is up here. And if there's stuff that's not on here, you just make the custom fields again. You can also assign your opportunities a value. So you can kind of see how much money you've got sitting in each stage of your process and kind of anticipate like your upcoming receivables. And then this is what your pipeline would look like. Obviously, your pipeline would have multiple cards and they'd be at different stages. But this is how you would come in and you'd be able to see who's where and where your priorities are. You might have a step that's, customers waiting on something for you, and you can look at it and maybe the title in the top tells you exactly, like, they're waiting on a permit, they're waiting on a whatever. But you can just come in here and see who's where and what's happening. So a tracking system like that is definitely a must-have in any CRM. Calendar and appointment scheduling. Um, with this, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't book online appointments. I have to talk to my customers to determine how much time I need to book. The service industry is a big one. It's pretty hard for somebody to book a hot water tank replacement if you don't know what type of house it is, what kind of tank is it, are they just switching out for like, are they upgrading, whatever. But what you can offer on your website for those customers that struggle to find the time to call the contractors is you could add an online option to book a phone call. So that way, you know when they're going to call. They're expecting your call. You're not catching them in the middle of, family time or when they're in a task. But if you have things that, um, you know, predetermined amounts of time and people can go online and book, having something that offers that flexibility is key because why, take up extra time if customers can go on and just book what they need from you and then your calendar fills up. Um, it's good to find if you're doing that, you want to have options in your calendar choices. You don't want to just have one straight up, they can book a one-on-one and you don't have any custom options in it. So again, this software that I'm using for an example, you can have a personal booking. So that's like a one-on-one, right? Round robin would be for a bigger thing where you got, people booking appointments and you want to share the wealth between a variety of employees. So it just distributes the next one up based on the choices you make. A class booking, so that's a one-to-many, a teacher and a group of students. A collective booking would be if somebody needed to book 3 specific people in your business for an service or a quote kind of thing, like if you need a group of your employees. So this is a many to one type of booking. You've got event calendars, so there's no host, and you can cap the number of spots available. So if you've got an event that you're hosting and you only have 100 seats, you can cap it at 100. You can add collecting money, you can collect deposits, all that kind of stuff on these calendars. And then the service booking is for places like, a hair salon, a massage parlor, anywhere where you would have a variety of different services that people could book online with kind of minimal choices, right? Like, so you could, ask them a couple of questions and determine that they need 45 minutes for a nail fill kind of thing, right? Again, all of these calendars, you can take deposits, you can take full payments, whatever you need for those services, and you didn't have to do anything. The system will take it. A lot of the CRMs kind of give you one option for an online booking, and everybody books through the same link. Another thing you want to watch for in the calendars is you want to make sure it does two-way sync. If you're using, say, like a Gmail calendar or an Outlook calendar to manage your life, you want to be able to link that with your business so that nobody's booking a nail fill when you have baseball. And a lot of the calendar or a lot of the CRMs only one-way sync because they don't want it to be easy for you to move to a different software. So they will let your life calendar, Outlook, whatever, sync up with them, but they won't do it the other way around. So you have to use their calendar and you become reliant on it. This software two-way syncs. So whatever I add in my CRM shows up in my Outlook. Whatever I add in my Outlook shows up in my CRM, and nobody can double book me. This one's big, even if you're just you, right? Keeping track of specific tasks and activities. And you can set it up in your system where it's like, when this milestone is met, add this to do to my list or add this to do to my team members list. And you can track everybody's to-do list and how they're doing. You want to have something where you can add lots of information. I kind of had to block this out. I don't know if you can really see much, but like each one is a different task. It has a title and it has a description on it. It has a due date. It has an importance, all that stuff. It shows up on my dashboard and it shows up in my app. So I can go in here and search by any of these. I can sort it by due date so I can see which is most pressing. If I have a team, I can view all of their tasks and how they're doing. I just check them off in here. You can add them manually when you think of, oh, I need to get Charisse to do this thing. I could add it to her to-do list, or I can have part of my automated process automatically add a task to a list. And a lot of that stuff, well, I guess this is another piece where you're having like your templated emails and communicating via text message. We're all doing that now. And how many times have you been like, oh, I know I seen that message, but where did it go? If you, as much as you can bring into one spot, it just helps you. You're not trying to think where did that message come in? Was it messenger? Was it text? Whatever. And being able to send emails and text messages out of your CRM, like that's where all your business is. That's where your details are. So, having to like look up the information in your CRM and then switch over to your text to send the text, or open up your Outlook or Gmail to send that email, it's just an extra step. And so we put off those little things because a 2-minute job takes 5 minutes and we need to do it 10 times. So we're just going to wait till we have time, right? Um, so they should have some type of messaging capability, and it needs to be user friendly. And if you typically use Outlook for your kind of other stuff, or your Gmail, you should find one that links with those, so that if you send an email from your Gmail or from your Outlook, um, it goes through your CRM as well. It also helps to have in there because you can have these templated emails. So if you send certain types of emails the same way all the time, you can build these templates, and you see these funny little brackets. These represent custom fields that I have in my database. So when I send this to somebody, all this personal information that comes from their contact file is put in with their information. So it's custom, and I didn't have to retype the email 10 times. I don't have to have, saved signatures, or, things that people do to try and save having to retype that email every time. And you can group your email and text message templates into folders again for different tasks that you do, so you can find them quickly and send them easily. This is an example of what text when they book an appointment, the confirmation they get, right? Obviously, these funny little brackets populate, um, but it just, somebody books an appointment, this text automatically goes out. I don't have to do it. Intake forms. Lots of times we get a contact us or whatever with our website. We kind of only have the one. We can ask some general questions, but we can't really get specific, or we're limited on the number of forms that we can create. Find one where you can basically have unlimited intake forms, because it's handy to have, even if it's the same questions, make a copy of that form and have one that you post on Facebook, and one that you post on Instagram, and one that you post on LinkedIn, because then you'll get the metrics to tell you, where are people finding that form? Where are your customers at? If everybody that's filling out your intake form to ask more questions is coming in from Instagram, well, it makes sense for you to put a little bit more of your marketing dollars there, because that's where people are finding you, right? Lots of times, if you're limited by number of forms or formats and stuff you can have, you don't have those options. But um, it's helpful to be able to track where they're coming from. These are examples of a couple of the form styles. You can customize it, you can personalize it however you want to show your brand. You can ask whatever questions you want. You can use, I have this is my discovery form, right? There's other ones where you can upload files if you need to. I have a couple of service-based businesses where you can upload a file of, I want to replace my electrical panel. This is what it looks like now. This is what I want. You can upload those things, and you can upload videos to get a video quote for a service business and not have to wait for them to come to site. And then, just an example of grabbing some consent to add them to a mailing list. That makes it all legally binding. People can go on, you can sign up, and then get your lovely newsletters every time you send them out. But basically, anytime you want to collect information from a customer, you should be able to have a form specifically to do that. You shouldn't have to have a generic one and just hope for the best. And then all of that stuff comes together to build your workflows and automations. So they can be super simple, like client books a appointment, we're going to send them a confirmation text message, an hour or a week before their appointment. We're going to send them a reminder, whatever that looks like. And it could be all the way to a big detailed process where, you know, a new customer comes on, and at different stages they get different emails or text messages asking them for data information to complete tasks, adding tasks to your team's to-do list, whatever that looks like. Anything that you can automate is something that you don't have to physically do yourself. So when you're thinking workflows and automations, you just want to think when this happens, then do that. And if you have those things in your business where every time a customer books an appointment, you send them a text, right? Let's automate that and free up your time. I have this, I just put together some of the advanced CRM features. These aren't deal breakers. There's other ways if you end up needing them to really integrate them with a lot of CRMs, or to kind of add them on. If you can find one that encompasses all of this stuff, but maybe you don't need it all right away, it just gives you room for growth. But just to kind of give you an idea of what kind of things are available in a CRM. So a funnel and website builder, those are handy if you want to direct people to a certain website to have them, purchase a specific offer or something. Or if you just want a simple website when you're getting started, you can actually, some of them you can actually build, GoDaddy, Square, stuff like that. You can build your website in there, and then if it gets bigger and complex, you can transfer it out. Social media messaging integration. This is handy just to kind of help keep track of your messages, and you can automate some replies sometimes. Reputation management. This is asking that question, how did you like your service or your product, based on a response, ask them for a Google review or Facebook review, or reach out and see how you can improve the situation if they were unhappy. Invoicing and payment collection. If you've got some standard stuff that doesn't have a lot of variables, why not click a box that the job is done and have your invoice automatically send and collect your payment and let you know when it's all done, right? It's not a full bookkeeping. You don't want a CRM that also has a bookkeeping module, because those are two very different software types. But if you can find one that can automate your invoicing and the collection of your money and then integrates with your bookkeeping software, that's going to save you a ton of time. Phone and text message service. This is becoming a big one because you don't necessarily want people calling your personal line for your business and vice versa. You don't want to, not everybody wants to be packing two phones, but you don't want to have to pay, hundreds of dollars to have a business set up or whatever. There's a lot of CRMs will have the simple phone service where you can do the routing and the mapping and have it come to your personal cell phone, but through a different number that you market as your business number. This also helps sending the text reminders, but you can even send your one-off texts and communicate that way without having your personal phone bombarded. Call tracking and recording. The benefit to this is, again, who's calling you, what are they calling about? The recordings are handy. If you're like, oh geez, what day did they say? What day did I say? What actually happened? You can go back and take a look, right? And the chat widget. Lots of them offer a chat widget. You want to find one that is easy to manage with your life. You don't want to build a chat or put a chat widget on your website that requires you to basically be sitting there 24/7 to respond. But it is handy to have the little chat widget pop up that can answer some of your frequently asked questions, or direct them on how to enter your process. So that's basically what a CRM is, and some of the tools that they can encompass for your business. The next one is, why would you use a CRM? So the main reasons are save time and work smarter. Why not? And then your process is the same all the time, right? Improve your customer relationships. If your customer can send a message or complete a form or whatever and get a response right away, they're going to love that, right? And you can have them put in a pipeline. So even though you didn't actually respond, you're like, oh, okay, well, now I need to do this and this and this with this person. Increase sales conversions. If you don't nurture your new clients or even your repeat clients the way they need to, they are going to find somebody else. So if you have your process laid out and they can basically work through it, they're your customer. They're not going to go to the competition or to somebody else who maybe has less business and is able to kind of walk through them the whole way. Track what's working. This is a big deal. Take the exact same intake form and post it on all the platforms. Put it on your website, text it, whatever you're going to do, and see where people are finding you. Because you look at those stats and you're like, okay, well, it makes sense for me to pay for LinkedIn ads, but nobody really comes in for Facebook. So I'm going to post on Facebook, but maybe I'm not going to put a ton of money there, right? This is the biggest one. Stop losing your customers and leads. Who's where, who needs what. By the time you figure it out, then you're out of time to actually do the things that you need to do. This way, like I said, you can take a quick glance and be like, okay, these ones need my attention right now. I've got 30 minutes, I'm going to take care of that, and then you move on. When you're always trying to figure out who's where, you're wasting so much time that you don't actually have time to deal with your customers, and they go elsewhere.
I was just going to say that is so true, right? Like, and that's again where like the sticky notes, right? Before I met you, I had these notes and things everywhere and trying to remember. And then I would create spreadsheets, and I think they're working really good. And they do, but I was wasting so much time. So 100%, it just simplifies it so much.
And it's not maybe a big deal when you have 10 clients or 15 clients, but what does that look like when you have 100 or 200? You're not going to get there if, your spreadsheets aren't getting updated properly, or your sticky note falls behind your desk, because now you've got a customer that was like, yeah, well, I reached out for this and I never got it, right? So this way it's all in there and you stop losing them. So who should use a CRM? Well, my overall answer is everybody, but ChatGPT kind of gave me some things, and it is kind of funny. You'll see at the end. Some businesses that have customers, right? Um, Pretty much as far as I know, every business has some type of customer. So businesses that collect leads or information, you're getting something. You're at least getting first name, last name, email, text message, or email, mobile number, that kind of stuff, right? Anyone who's scheduling appointments for appointments or services. So whether that's people coming into your business, or you going to theirs, or like I said, some of my trades customers, even just that ability to schedule their phone calls and ask some pre-questions before they make that phone call, huge time saver. Businesses that follow a sales or a service process. Most of the most successful businesses do the things that they do the same way every time. So why not build that into a process that you can follow, that you can show to your employees, that you can build your brand on? Do the same thing the same way every single time. And businesses that want to grow or save time, like I said, it's fine to track your 10 or 15 customers on a spreadsheet, or handwritten notes everywhere. But it's pretty tough to grow if that's how you're doing everything, because it just takes so much of your time. How do you have room to take on more customers? So that's why I was joking. My answer was just everyone, but I had ChatGPT help me make it a little bit more formal, and so it gave me these 5 answers for who should have one, which is basically everybody. This is a big one for me. The best time to start using a CRM. A lot of times when I get to the business, they're overwhelmed, and they're busy. They need to take the time to put these things in place, but they don't have the time, or they don't really know what to start. And there's so many pieces, right? The best time to start is right now. Your CRM, find one that has that's scalable. Start with just collecting the information that you need and storing it appropriately so you can do something with it after as you get bigger. Then add some online booking, then add some, email or text message options with your clients. But don't wait until don't think you need a super big, fancy, expensive software. And don't wait until you're so busy you don't have a choice, but you also don't have time to do it the way that you want. And that's it. That's all the points I had.
That's awesome. I want to chime in and say, if you're watching all of this and you're hearing it, you're like, okay, that's a lot. Like, I don't even know where this is great. Okay, I need one. But I don't even know where to start, right? That's where Chantel comes in because you can sit down, have a one-on-one conversation. She knows the questions to ask to start building all these fields and walk you through it, right? So it's not like it's like, hey, here's the software, now go figure it out. She's legit there to help you and be like, okay, no, I think that this field would work better here. So I know like one of my first appointments with her, I sat down. I'm like, okay, this is ideally how I would like it to look. I had the ideas, I had kind of the flow I wanted things, but she really specializes in breaking that down. And she's like, okay, well, this field would help you here. This would do this. So don't watch this and think like, ah, that's great, but I don't know where to do it. She will walk you through it. And yeah, that's something huge. Because at first, I thought I knew about like all of this going on. And then when you started explaining things, I was like, I'm not even closely tracking that. And I thought I was doing a great job at tracking and all the things. And yeah, so no, you taught me a lot. And I want to thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I
Thank
don't
you.
know. Yeah, I got
Thanks for
nothing
having
more to
me.
say other than you have simplified my life. And I want to thank you for that. And if anybody wants more information on this or consult or anything like that, I know Chantel would be more than happy to sit down and learn more about your business and come up with some really good solutions of how different different systems can work. And like I said, I want to agree with you too. It doesn't have to be complex in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And I also too, I have two different sides of my business and she was able to customize each side of it, right? Because what I needed for one side of my one of my businesses to what I needed for the other were two different things. Like there was some similar things, but there was different and she was able to customize both of that. So, and it's all in one system. I just got to click in between which one I want and it's yeah, so it's super awesome. So,
Thank you.
thank
I'm
you.
glad it's working.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, if you want more information, reach out. I will get you in contact with Chantel, and I appreciate your time. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Okay. Thanks.